Episode 161. Offend a tycoon? At the time, Sam wasn't sure it was her. But when he went back and thought about it, the body and the face of the woman at the airport were so much like Faye's. He checked the surveillance footage and was able to find out that she'd been in England a month ago. It was definitely her. And the person standing beside Faye was Jade. They seemed to be close friends. So when Dario asked Sam to pick Jade up, he agreed without hesitation. Now, sitting in Faye's apartment, Sam revealed a trace of an evil smile. His eyes sparkled. She wasn't going to get away from him this time. Faye tightly held Jade's hand and suppressed her fury. She felt like she was going to explode in the next second. "Wait a minute, Mr. Foster," she said with syrup in her voice. "Let me see if I have enough money to buy you the dinner you deserve." Faye pulled Jade into the kitchen. The moment she entered the room, she deflated. "God, who the hell does he think he is?" she hissed. Jade looked at her apologetically. "Faye, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I didn't know it would turn out like this." "Forget it. It's not your problem. He was going to find me no matter what. At least you're here with me." Faye gave her friend a curious glance. "But you said he knew your husband. Don't tell me that your husband is just like him, so arrogant and demanding, treating you like a maid." "Not really. He's very good to me. He's not as arrogant as he seems, though he does get pretty bossy, but he takes care of me, and he cooks and does housework." Jade heard her voice become warm as she talked about Dario. No matter how mad she was, her heart still belonged to him. Sam did seem a bit like Dario, but much more arrogant and domineering. Like Sam, Dario would order all the most expensive takeout in Washington, but he would order it for Jade over her protests and pay for it. Faye realized her mouth was hanging open. "Are you fucking kidding me?" Jade's eyes widened. Faye clarified. "He sounds too good to be true. How did you get so lucky? Does he have dark, terrible secrets?" Jade laughed. Probably." Seeing the affection in her friend's face, Faye felt envious. Why couldn't she have met someone like that at the masquerade party? Jade remembered the 3 words Dario said in her ear in the morning. "I love you." The memory made her feel intoxicated all over again. This was the first time he said he loved her. What about her? Did she feel the same? She was pretty sure she did. Jade pulled her attention back to her unhappy friend. "Faye, Sam treats you this way? And now he's somehow your boss? Can you just quit?" Jade looked at Faye with heartache. She'd heard that ever since Faye returned to the country, she hadn't even had time to go out. In the past, she only needed to submit a few drafts a month, and she had time to write her own novels and travel. Now, no chance. Faye sighed helplessly. "If I quit now, I don't get paid for any of the work I've done so far. I can't afford it. Believe me, when the contract is up, I'm gone." Faye wanted to cry but had no tears. Which god had she offended? That not only was she assaulted in a foreign country, but the culprit was a tycoon who lived in her city and could buy her entire company. Was Sam really this capricious? Buying such a big cultural company just to torture her? Rich people were a mystery. Jade shook her head. "No, I have to help you think of a way out. I can't just watch you get bullied, right? I didn't say this before, but Sam is actually Dario's brother." Faye gaped at her. Jade went on. "So Dario probably has some influence over him?" The doorbell rang, and Faye jumped. "Shit," she said. "It's probably my editor. That's all I need." When she opened the door, her jaw dropped again. If anything, the man who stood there was even more handsome than Sam. Could her apartment hold this much handsomeness at one time without exploding? Faye felt like she was dreaming right now. When she opened the door, she saw a mature and steady, handsome man standing straight at the door. He had a cold, proud aura, but his dark eyes were calm. His cheekbones were perfect, judging from what she could see of his body in its perfectly tailored, obviously expensive suit. Faye thought that people probably tended to gasp and faint when they saw him. Faye realized she was staring at him. Then she realized that she was wearing grubby pajamas, and she hurriedly looked away and said, "Hi, are you looking for someone?" The man said simply, "My wife." Faye paused, confused. The man outside the door simply pushed open the door and walked in. As soon as he entered, he walked in front of Jade with a very serious expression. "Didn't I tell you? Where are you going to tell me?" "Dario," Jade said in surprise. "How did you know I was here?" Jade looked at the man in front of her and wondered again if he had superpowers or a network of spies or something. How did he always know so much? Dario took her hand. "I'll bring you home." He tugged her toward the door, completely ignoring Faye and Sam. Despite his rudeness, Faye wished it was her hand Dario was holding. His affection for Jade was obvious, and his body looked even better from this angle. She was happy for her friend, but it really wasn't fair. A cold voice suddenly sounded behind them. "Hey, get your ass over here and quit ogling my brother. What, I don't look good?" Faye turned around and met Sam's jealous eyes. His handsome face had a sour trace of displeasure. In the past, any girl who chased after Sam would immediately transfer her affections to Dario upon meeting him. Sam had punched multiple holes in his bedroom wall in anger. But Dario was married now. Sam thought with satisfaction that his brother wouldn't be stealing any more women who were rightfully Sam's. Episode 162. The Perfume of an Unfamiliar Woman. As Dario pulled Jade toward the door, she broke free from his grip. She thought for a moment, if she left, wouldn't that leave Faye and Sam alone together? She couldn't do that to her friend. "Mr. Foster, I don't want to leave yet." Dario's eyes darkened. "What did you call me?" His tone was a warning. "Dario," Jade said quickly. "I mean Dario." "Come back with me." Without waiting for Jade to say anything, Dario swung her into his arms and carried her away. "Hey, Dario, what are you doing?" Jade struggled, annoyed and embarrassed. Faye was following them, wanting to know what was going on, but just as she reached her apartment door, a hand jerked her back inside. Sam slammed the door and pushed Faye up against it. He leaned close to her ear and said softly, "Just you and me now." Faye was wearing loose, grubby pajamas, and her hair was messy. She looked, in short, like a writer. But Sam knew what lay underneath those pajamas, how beautiful her body was. He remembered her taste, which was intoxicating, like a forbidden fruit. And this woman had dared to run away from him. She had slipped out of his room and left a pound coin behind to belittle him. He wanted revenge. Faye pushed him away. She said sharply, "Mr. Foster, if you have nothing else to do, go home. I'm very busy." As Faye was walking away, Sam said quietly behind her, "Rose." Faye froze, but she didn't turn around. Sam smiled. "It's you," he said. Faye took a deep, shaky breath. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Do you still want to pretend?" Sam asked coolly. "Should I tell you about the shape of the birthmark on your thigh?" Rage swept through Faye. She made herself turn around slowly. "Mr. Foster, you have the wrong person. My name isn't Rose, and if I have any birthmarks, it's none of your—" Sam's hand cut off her words. The next thing she knew, she was underneath him on the sofa. He squeezed her thigh with an evil smile on his face. "Oh, is that so?" Faye struggled. "Mr. Foster, quit it. Let me go." "Go ahead, call for help. No one's going to hear you." "Help!" Faye shouted. "Come on, you practically threw yourself at me in England. Today, you've been flirting with me and teasing me. You know you want me." Faye just kept shouting for help. After leaving Faye's apartment, Dario carried Jade to the car and put her in. The two of them didn't speak. When they got home, Dario asked, "You didn't eat dinner, right? Go and rest. I'll call you when it's ready." "I don't want to eat. I want to go read the scripts Caroline gave me today," Jade said coldly. From the moment she entered the house, she did not look at Dario. She went right to her room with a pile of scripts. Dario did not say anything. He just stepped aside so she could enter. After he changed into casual clothes, he began to cook. Half an hour later, Dario came in and asked her to eat, but Jade gave the same answer. "I don't want to eat." Her eyes were still on the script. She looked very serious. However, in half an hour, she hadn't read a word. Before Dario appeared at Faye's house, she could still comfort herself. The man she'd seen in Dario's car could have been Lucas. Now she knew better. Dario smelled like a woman's perfume. That smell, where did it come from? Who did it come from? The thought made Jade's head hurt. She wanted to think she had smelled it wrong, or she'd imagined it. Dario sat down next to her, but Jade moved to the side. His face became gloomy. "What's wrong now?" he asked helplessly. He reached out his hand to brush away the hair at her temple, but she dodged him. Jade felt like she was holding back her anger when she heard this question. What was wrong with her? Was she like this often? "It's okay. I just don't want to eat, that's all." Jade resisted the sudden urge to cry. Earlier, she'd been praising him in front of Faye, but all she could really think about was the woman in his car. Could what she was afraid of really be happening? Dario locked eyes with her. "Don't you remember what I said? If you're mad or sad or dissatisfied, you have to tell me. He knew something must have happened, but his wife was always like this. She refused to say it out loud. I'm not mad at you. I just don't want to eat. Do I have to do whatever you want? Jade's voice was rising. I'm not your slave. Dario flinched, barely perceptibly. Then the cold mask dropped over his features again, and he left the room. Episode 163. Mutual Torture. Jade thought that he would at least coax her to eat. She didn't expect Dario to walk out without even looking back. She didn't know if it was because he thought she was being unreasonable. She lowered her head in despair and tossed all the scripts to the side. Fine. Ignore me then. Who cares? Jade was about to get up and leave when Dario walked in with food. A familiar fragrance seduced her nose. He had made pan-seared scallops. Although she was very hungry, she still resisted the desire to eat. Where to? Sit and eat. Dario carried the food to the nightstand and took Jade's hand to pull her over. Jade broke free from his hand and said, I just want to go out for a walk. Let's eat first, then go out for a walk. I'll come along, Dario said, but it was an order. No need. I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. You can eat by yourself. Jade looked at the food and felt a little uncomfortable because it was some of her favorites. Not only the scallops, but green beans sauteed with garlic and a tomato salad. Jade's heart felt like it was being pulled. She couldn't believe the gentle and attentive man in front of her would do that kind of thing behind her back. But the faint perfume reminded her that another woman had been so close to him so recently. Dario picked up his fork, speared a scallop, and brought it to her mouth. Jade kept her mouth shut. Dario's eyes showed a hint of danger. Are you sure you don't want to eat? Jade was not afraid of him. After a long time, she looked at him. Mr. Foster, where did you go today? She asked as casually as she could manage. Who are you with? Dario did not answer her question. If you won't eat, I'll feed you with my mouth. The trace of doubt in Jade's mind grew. Why wouldn't he tell her where he went and who he was with? Was he afraid to tell her? Or did he just not want to tell her? Did he really have something to hide from her? Jade looked at the delicious food and did not have any desire to eat at all. Dario popped the scallop into his mouth. Then he reached over and tried to pry open Jade's lips. Jade squirmed away and shouted, Mr. Foster, stop! Why are you doing this? Dario looked into her angry eyes and said lightly, Not eating isn't good for your health. When he heard her call him Mr. Foster again, he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. He had swallowed the scallop. He put a green bean in his mouth. Then he forcefully hugged Jade and kissed her lips. His right hand held her chin and forced her to open her mouth. He used his tongue to push the bean into her mouth. Jade jerked away and spat out the bean, gagging. The food was bright green against the white floor. Jade wiped her mouth and raised her head. She felt a wave of fear. At this moment, Dario's eyes were terrifying, perhaps the most terrifying she'd ever seen them. They were the eyes of a wolf about to tear her apart. Jade sat frozen, like a rabbit under the gaze of the wolf. She barely dared to breathe. After a long time, she ventured to say, I want to go and see Faye. I wonder how she is. She stiffly moved to stand up. Dario grabbed her wrist tightly, almost hard enough to be painful. Jade didn't make a sound. She looked at him coldly. She didn't want to show weakness and did not want him to look down on her. Jade, Dario said without warmth. What happened? It's okay. I just don't want to eat. I want to check on Faye, Jade said with a tremble in her voice. She also wanted to know why this was happening to her. Why did she go crazy and care about this man? She loved him so much and even offered up her first time. But what happened in the end? She saw him with another woman. A layer of frost practically appeared on Dario's face. Jade, what do you want to do? He was like a proud and aloof prince. No common person could approach him. Jade was stunned for a moment. She felt like she had when she first saw Dario in the bar. He was so scary. Perhaps this was the real him. She shouldn't have approached him in the first place. She had been wrong from the start. She'd thought that as long as she kept working hard, she would be able to close the distance between them. But there were some things that she would never be able to change in her entire life, such as the difference in background. Jade took a deep breath to ease her emotions. I don't want to do anything. Then why are you angry again? Are you torturing me? The danger in Dario's eyes grew as he leaned toward her. The powerful aura around his body felt like electricity. She couldn't look him in the eyes. Hearing his words, she felt a flash of anger. She was torturing him? Who was torturing who? She didn't want to be like this, but what could she do? Angry as she was, she still couldn't deny her feelings. Regardless of his flaws, she was deeply in love with this man in front of her. But she couldn't just give in. She couldn't. If that was torture to him, so be it. For a moment, Jade felt her throat close. She could not say anything. The atmosphere between the two of them had reached a freezing point. Dario grabbed her hand, still staring into her eyes. Just as he was about to kiss her, Jade turned her head away. There seemed to be a trace of disgust on her face. Episode 164. A Bloody Kiss. Dario's face darkened. He didn't force her anymore. He let go of her hand and said in a cold tone, "It's too late to go out. Stay at home. If you don't want to eat, throw away your food." Jade quietly picked up the scripts on the floor and carried them to the hall. She sat on the sofa alone and looked at the words with a heavy heart. She felt dizzy. Dario went to the study room. The two of them stayed in their separate rooms for the rest of the evening, busy with their own things. Dario did not come out of the study room again. The door of the study room was tightly shut. The two of them were in the same home, but they felt so far apart. In the middle of the night, Jade fell asleep on the sofa, hugging the pile of scripts. Her brows were slightly knitted, as if she had many things on her mind. Dario was about to go out to take a bath when he saw that Jade had not returned to her room yet. He walked quietly to the sofa and gently picked her up to carry her to bed. Jade was sleeping soundly and did not know that she'd been moved. Dario found a pair of her pajamas and took off the clothes that she was wearing. Throughout the entire process, Jade did not resist. When he was taking off her underwear, she murmured, "So cold." Her soft voice and her warm nakedness filled Dario with desire. He finished putting the pajamas onto her body. Now she looked even more appealing. In the dim light of the bedroom, the black lace pajamas wrapped her in shadows. Through the translucent material, he could see the pale curves of her beautiful body. Jade sighed in her sleep and rolled onto her side, giving Dario a full view into her cleavage. Dario felt heat spread through his core. He covered her with the blanket and went to the bathroom in the guest room. He washed his body and then came back. After he turned off the lights in the room, the only sound was two people breathing quietly. Dario carefully laid down beside Jade and lifted her up. He laid her on his chest and put his hands on her waist. Jade opened her eyes and found that she'd already changed into her pajamas and was lying on his body. His naked body. Wasn't she in the living room? Jade hurriedly escaped his embrace. In the dark, she could not see his expression clearly and did not know what he wanted to do. She curled to the side and said, "I have an early shoot for a commercial tomorrow, so I should conserve my strength." She bit her lower lip. Dario realized that he was sending her very mixed messages. Despite changing her into sexy pajamas, stripping naked and pulling her on top of him, he really had planned just to go to sleep. He knew that Jade needed her sleep to be at her best for the shoot tomorrow, and that after being with him, she was sometimes quite sore. He knew this wasn't a good time. He really just wanted to hug her and sleep, but now that she was awake, with sex clearly on her mind, he was rethinking his plan. The heat in his core was intensifying. Dario swallowed hard, thinking of the first time she offered herself to him. He flipped over and easily pinned Jade under him. Even in the darkness, he could find her tender lips right away. In the night, her voice was low and a little rough. It was intoxicating. "It's fine. I'll do all the moving. You just need to lie still." Dario gently stroked her cheek. Even though she was separated by a layer of pajamas, he could feel her body trembling. Jade felt the warmth of his hand and almost fell into his magnetic voice. She hurriedly patted her face to wake herself up. After that, she pushed him away. She turned her head and said coldly, "Get off, I'm tired." "It's okay. You just sleep with me. I'll do everything." He lowered his head and kissed her again. Jade made a frustrated sound. Dario's kiss was getting deeper and deeper. She kept pushing his tongue away with hers, but he mistook it for kissing. Jade thought that it was very likely that the woman with the perfume had done exactly this with Dario, maybe even that day. She felt a wave of disgust. Hatred suddenly arose in her heart. She resisted with all her might, feeling that he still had no intention of letting her go. Jade bit his lip as hard as she could. She tasted blood. She did not know that the people who had hurt him in the past were all dead. Jade couldn't see his expression clearly, but she could clearly feel a cold and dangerous aura. She held her breath as fear and regret built up within her. She knew she was acting crazy, but what was she supposed to think after what she saw today? He came home smelling like another woman's perfume. There was one obvious explanation. She wanted to ask him directly, but she couldn't make herself do it. Episode 165. No one goes to sleep. Jade originally thought that after what she did to him, no matter how good Dario's temper was, he would scold her. Even if not, he would still be cold to her. But Dario did not. He just licked the blood at the corner of his mouth and looked at Jade curiously. Then he held her sweetly in his arms. "Tell me, what's wrong with you?" Dario's gentle voice made Jade's heart tremble. Why was he like this, alternatively domineering and gentle? She couldn't ever quite catch hold of him. If he weren't so gentle, she would have left him without hesitation, just like she gave up on her ex-boyfriend Bruce. Jade also wanted to tell him what had happened to her, but couldn't say it. She was afraid he would leave her. No one but her grandmother had ever treated her so well. From the beginning of the marriage, she did not intend to develop feelings. She wasn't going to care if Dario was with other women. She thought she would be carefree. If he found the person she loved, she would simply withdraw from the marriage and leave him. But now Jade realized this was impossible. She couldn't do it. As long as she saw him with another woman, her heart would hurt very much. Jade took a deep breath and pretended to be calm. "I'm fine. It's late. Go to sleep." She closed her eyes, holding back the tears. She tried to convince herself he wasn't that kind of person, that what happened today had been a misunderstanding. A husband and wife should choose to trust each other. Thinking like this, she felt much more at ease. When Dario heard her voice, he got a little choked up. He reached out his hand in a panic, wanting to touch her face to see if there were tears, but she pushed him away. "If you have something to tell me, please tell me. Don't keep it all inside, please." Dario kissed her forehead and gently patted her back to coax her to sleep. "I know," Jade answered in a small voice. "Also, next time you should keep your face covered. It's really horrifying." Dario's voice was low, rough, and charming, with a hint of mockery. These words instantly broke the deadlock between the two of them. Jade knew he was joking, but she pouted anyway. Even if she was the new goddess of advertising, she still felt insecure about her looks sometimes. Just as she was about to retort, Dario grabbed her butt and lifted her up a little. He held the back of her head and kissed her lips again. At the taste of his blood, Jade felt guilty for biting him and did not resist anymore. However, she still didn't feel like catering to him, and Dario seemed to be deliberately punishing her. He fiercely sucked her tongue, and his hands moved restlessly over her smooth body, coming to rest on her chest, first over her lacy pajamas, and then underneath. At the same time, his lower body rubbed against hers, fueling her desire without doing anything about it. The cloth between them was almost no barrier at all, just a small movement, and he could be inside her. Just as she was about to die of lust, Dario suddenly stopped everything he was doing and rolled next to her. "Since you're tired, then go to sleep," he said. Jade wanted to yell in frustration. How was she supposed to sleep now? She squeezed her thighs together and twisted her body. She was breathing heavily and did not know how to speak. Dario was lying next to her like he was watching a show. He enjoyed her breathing. Finally, Jade bit her lower lip. She could not bear his cold gaze. She pulled the blanket over her and wrapped herself in it. "You are the worst. Go to sleep. Let me tell you, if you touch me again, I'm not letting you off." Jade turned her body away from him, still grumbling. Dario felt himself smiling. Then he laughed. His laughter made Jade feel as if he was mocking her, feeding her annoyance. She kept telling herself to sleep, but how could she sleep now? This feeling was like she needed to sneeze and couldn't. It was maddening. Jade thought that after she calmed down, she should be able to fall asleep, but she didn't expect Dario to start groping her again. He touched her everywhere with both hands. He even gently rubbed his stubble against her arms and back. "Make up your mind, Dario." He pulled her underwear down and began to focus his attention there. No matter how Jade resisted or dodged, she could not escape his touch. In the end, she couldn't take it anymore. She swatted Dario's hand and said angrily, "Dario, are you done yet?" "No." Dario licked her earlobe. This was a very sensitive spot for Jade, and she moaned. She felt her entire body go soft and yielding, as if all her strength had been drained. She weakly stretched out her hand, wanting to push him away, but her body thirsted for him to take a step further. Episode 166. Tell me what you want. Jade was about to scream in frustration. How is it? Are you still sleepy? A low voice sounded beside her ear, carrying a demonic charm. Dario, you're the worst. Jade smacked him on the chest. Dario grinned. Nah, you love me. You can't get enough. Jade rolled her eyes at him. Leave me alone. I'm going to sleep. The man was simply too shameless. It was clear that he was deliberately teasing her. How could she possibly sleep under these conditions? I'm your husband. Where do you want me to go? Dario extended his hand and began stroking her body again, making her squirm. As his hand moved up her thigh, Jade's breathing got heavier and heavier. Her body wanted to go out of control. I really need an answer, Dario said teasingly. Are you sleepy? Do you want to continue? If not, I'll go to sleep. Jade was exacerbated. He wanted her to say it directly. He wanted her to say she wanted him. But she couldn't make herself do it. She was too embarrassed to say the words. No, she stammered. Oh, really? Are you sure you don't want it? Dario's hand moved to her most sensitive place and began gently stroking. It felt so good that she almost couldn't stand it. Jade stretched out her hand to move his away, but instead, she just put her hand on top of his. She was powerless to resist. Every point he found was her weakest point. Every hit was a critical hit. She bit her lips to keep from crying out, Damn this man, this hot and cold man, and the things he did to her. Dario, please. Please what? Dario did not stop. He could feel her body trembling. Please, she begged. Her mind was blank. What do you want me to do to you? You have to tell me. Dario's voice was magnetic. If he wanted her to follow him to hell, Jade would probably do it. Jade bit her lower lip again and did not answer him. She gripped the sheet with both hands and her body squirmed. Dario moved close to her ear and said softly, Tell me what you want. As long as you say it, I'll give it to you. She just couldn't. She was too embarrassed, but more importantly, she couldn't let him win. Dario was on fire with lust, but his face was still calm. He needed to hear her say it herself. When Jade was on the edge, he suddenly stopped stroking. He took his hand away and placed it on her stomach. Jade cried out in frustration. Dario grinned. Are you still not willing to tell me? Jade gritted her teeth and touched his hot chest, but she still didn't dare to open her mouth. Dario could not endure it any longer. In a moment, he was finally inside her. Who really needed sleep, anyway? The next day at 7:30, Jade was woken by her alarm clock. She had password protected it to prevent Dario from turning off the alarm again. Dario was still sleeping soundly beside her. Usually he got up, tidied up everything, and made breakfast before she woke up. He was a god. She looked at the sleeping Dario. She suddenly felt that he was also an ordinary person. He had the same needs and the same flaws as anyone else, even if he was unusually handsome. Only at times like this did Jade feel that she and Dario weren't really so far apart. As she got up, she discovered that her legs were sore and inclined to tremble. How annoying. She'd asked to sleep. She told him she needed to get up early. He'd promised to be gentle and do all the moving. But although he only wanted her twice, he took a very long time. Last night, he said he would do it until morning if he could. Thinking of this, Jade became angry. He knew about the commercial shoot, but he still treated her like this. It was infuriating. Jade felt like hitting him, but looking at his handsome, sleeping face, she couldn't do it. Just the sight of his face made her heart beat faster. She felt like she was looking at him for the first time. The more she looked, it was harder to believe that he was actually her husband. She must have saved the entire universe in her previous life. Jade imagined his future children. If they inherited Dario's genes, they would be lucky. He was so handsome that it shook the heavens and earth. Jade wondered what his parents looked like. They must both be gorgeous. Episode 106. Bath time. Jade realized that although she and Dario had been married for a while now, she knew very little about his family. She had met his handsome but cruel brother Sam and heard of a sister and a nephew. She had no idea about the rest of his family members. He never told her very much about his life. Thinking about this, Jade could not help feeling a little disappointed. Why did he never talk about his family matters with her? Was it because he didn't see her as family or didn't trust her? She sighed softly. What exactly did she have to do to get close to this man? Even though she was lying naked in bed with him, she still felt the distance between them. Hearing her sigh, Dario opened his hazy eyes. When he woke up, he found that his wife was staring at him lustfully. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. He hugged her tightly and kissed her. Her voice, first thing in the morning, was exceptionally languid and husky. Don't look at me too hard, or you might faint from sexiness. Sexiness? Wow, your ego. Jade stuck out her tongue at him. She broke free from his embrace and continued, I'm going to work now. When she got out of bed, her hand accidentally brushed his member. It was already stiff, and he gasped a little at her touch. Jade felt a burning gaze on her naked body. Her face turned red. She quickly turned toward the closet, but Dario pulled her back down on the mattress and kissed her. He gently parted her lips with his tongue. The more he kissed her, the fiercer he became. Only when she couldn't take it anymore did he let her go. I forgot to clean you up yesterday. Let's go to the bathroom first. Dario clearly wasn't thinking about cleanliness. I'll go wash myself, said Jade. Dario swung her into his arms and carried her into the bathroom. After Dario put Jade down, he turned on the shower. Really, I can wash myself, Jade said. I need to get cleaned up and go to work. She felt a little awkward standing naked with Dario in the shower. The light was so bright compared to in the bedroom. No need. I'll help you. Dario smiled. He squeezed a little of the shower gel into his hand and began to rub it all over her body. The slipperiness of his soapy hands against her skin felt amazing. She closed her eyes and let herself get lost in the sensation. Okay, your turn, Dario said. He took her hand and put some shower gel in it. Come on. I demand reciprocity. Dario began to glide her hand around his body, as though it were a loofah. As she touched his strong chest and his muscled abs, Jade's mouth went dry. His body felt so good, simultaneously hard and soft. Moving down from his abs, Jade deliberately slowed her pace. She thought of starting to wash his back, but Dario kept grabbing her hand and sliding it down. He moved close to her ear and said in a low voice, This needs some washing. It's very dirty. Wash it yourself. Jade did not dare to look. She just closed her eyes and randomly washed. Almost laughing, Dario dropped a kiss on her lips. This is an investment in your sex life and happiness. It deserves your careful attention. Under her touch, his member became bigger and bigger as if it was shouting. He leaned into her and rubbed himself against her thigh. Jade, who was lost in love, had long forgotten that she still needed to shoot an advertisement this morning. However, his boldness woke her up. She took a step back and said somewhat nervously, I'm done with that. I'm going out. But how could Dario let her go? He stepped out of the shower and began doing a little dance, thrusting his hips at her. When he caught her looking at his member, he shot back and forth, making it wiggle. Jade couldn't help but laugh. She scolded, You pervert! Oh, is that so? I should do something perverted then. Dario looked at her with a faint smile, as if he were hatching a plan. Jade was breathing heavily. She took a breath of cold air. Her heart was pounding, but not with fear. Jade turned off the shower and stepped out. Dario wrapped her in one of his enormous, soft, rich man towels. Back in the bedroom, Jade lay down on the bed, languid and still wet. She wanted to dry off her body, but she couldn't even move. In the blink of an eye, Dario had already put on his clothes and sat beside her. She was still naked, but for the towel, draped over her stomach. When Jade realized this, she frowned at him and said, Hey, why are you the only one who's dressed? Dario stared at her naked body and raised her eyebrows. You want me to help you? Jade saw his malicious look and thought for a moment. She had the feeling she had said something she shouldn't. Episode 168. Another suspicious delay. Jade quickly adjusted the towel and wrapped herself in it. She looked at him angrily. I didn't mean it. I just want you to help me get my clothes. You can ask me to help you. Answer one question first. Jade looked at him helplessly, knowing that whatever he wanted to ask, it would be embarrassing for her, and she wouldn't want to answer. What question? Do you like doing it with me? Do you want it? Dario looked at her with a serious expression, as if he really wanted to know. Jade smiled awkwardly and felt herself blushing. Did he really expect her to answer that? He'd known her for a while now. She wasn't comfortable talking about things like that, even though she was a grown married woman with a job. I'll just go get the clothes myself, she said. Just as she was about to get up, Dario pulled her back and into his embrace. She felt out of place there because she was naked, but he was dressed well. It made her curl up like a little rabbit. "You haven't answered my question yet," Dario prompted. Seeing her bite her lower lip, he leaned close to her and gently breathed into her ear. It made her entire body tickle. It was very uncomfortable. What was even worse was that Dario spoke her name more tenderly than he had before. "Jade, please, I need to know. Do you like being with me? Does it hurt you?" His expression was very serious, as if he was asking a question at a study session for an important exam. Jade swallowed her saliva. The sweetness in his voice did something to her. She shook her head hard. "This kind of question, I can't talk about this with you. Anyway, I'm going to be late for the shoot, and it's all your fault." Jade suddenly felt frantic with anxiety. She didn't even know what time it was. She fumbled for her phone so she could text Caroline and explain, but there was a message there from Caroline already. Caroline's text said that the commercial shoot had been pushed back until afternoon, and that Jade should have a good rest and come in after lunch. Jade read the message with a puzzled expression and then looked at Dario. She couldn't believe this was happening again. Every time she was delayed by something, the filming time would be delayed as well. This was too much of a coincidence. Jade vaguely felt that this had to be related to Dario somehow. But how could it possibly be? He was rich and powerful, but he wasn't in charge of the entire world. She shook her head, deciding not to think too much about it. Perhaps it was just a schedule change. She put on leggings and a soft t-shirt and lay down. She didn't want to move at all. Dario looked at her half-closed eyes and felt guilty. It was because of his whims that she was tired and sore. Dario felt sorry for her. He kissed her forehead and covered her with the blanket. He said gently, "Rest here for a while. I will make breakfast for you. When it's ready, come out." Jade heard him and immediately pushed herself up. She looked at him in embarrassment. "Mr. Foster, why don't I do it today? You've been the one who made it since I came back. Don't tell me you've worked too hard." "Little fool, I'm willing to make breakfast for you. It's not hard at all. Next time, I'll try my best to be gentle." Dario thought for a moment. "Also, I'll try to keep it to once or twice a night." There was a trace of seriousness in his eyes. Half an hour later, after Dario made breakfast for Jade, he brought it to her room on a tray. It was embarrassing, him treating her like a child. Jade ate breakfast and rested for a while before she went back to sleep. Before she went to sleep, she reminded Dario to wake her up in the afternoon so she wouldn't be late for the shoot. "I know, get some sleep. I'll wake you up in plenty of time." Dario kissed her nose. Seeing her tired and determined look, he swallowed what he wanted to say, that he wanted her to stop being an actress. After covering her with the blanket, Dario thought about giving her a massage, but he was afraid that he would not be able to control himself after seeing her body. So he thought it was better not to. He sat by Jade until she fell asleep. Then he went to the study room to deal with all the day's business for the company. Dario only came out at noon when he heard movement. He frowned slightly and walked to the hall where he saw Jade through the kitchen door. Jade's vegetables were almost done cooking when they were suddenly dragged away. Dario patted her butt and turned off the stove. She looked at him in puzzlement, holding the spatula in midair. "Dario, what are you doing?" "I still want to ask you. What do you want to do?" "I'm cooking," Jade said in exasperation. "Who asked you to cook?" Dario said sternly. It was as if she had committed a heinous crime. He took the spatula from her hand and lectured her. "Tell me when you're hungry. I'll cook it for you. You don't do it yourself." Jade did not know whether she was happy or worried after hearing that. She lowered her head, like a child waiting for punishment. Episode 169. Dario's Threat. Jade put her hands on her hips defiantly. "I saw you were busy, so I didn't want to bother you." Besides, as his wife, she rarely cooked for him. She didn't want to be useless. She couldn't let him do it all. Dario took a hold of her shoulders and walked her to the couch, ignoring her protests. He forced her to sit down, turn on the TV, and put the remote control into her hand. He ordered, "Sit here and watch TV. I'll cook the food. Do you understand? If I see you cooking again, you will not like the consequences. I promise." Jade was not troubled by Dario's warning. Instead, she looked at him and smiled. "Then what can you do to me?" Jade's expression was a little teasing, as if she was sure that he would not do anything to her. She knew he wouldn't hit her. She didn't think he would hurt her at all. But Dario could do something to her. Something too terrible to contemplate, but also so intriguing. Dario leaned over, and put his hands on either side of her on the sofa, so she was surrounded. He looked at her with his dark, deep eyes. He said softly, "I'll give it to you. 7 times a night." "What?" Jade's heart skipped a beat. She lowered her head and said, 7 times in one night? Can you handle it? She did not expect Dario to push her down on the sofa as soon as she said that. His eyes suddenly became dangerous. Could he handle it? She was challenging his dignity. "Oh, you think I can't do it? Let's try tonight, or now. No, I know you're very powerful. You can do it 7 times in one night. However, you don't want to get blisters. Besides, I still have to go and film today. In the future, can we keep it to 2 times? After saying that, she was both ashamed and speechless. She felt that if she did not properly explain herself, her future would not be easy. Right now, she wanted to find a place to hide. Was it good fortune or terrible fortune to have a husband with such ridiculous stamina? "I'll show you how powerful I am sooner or later. In the meantime, stay out of the kitchen, you understand? Otherwise, you know the consequences," Dario warned seriously. Jade nodded desperately and pushed at him as she said, I know. Hurry up and cook. I'll watch TV here." If she wanted to cook, she would have to give up her body 7 times in one night. Who could do that? But when she thought about him cooking for her and that he was threatening her in order to make her get the rest she needed, she felt warmth in her heart. Before long, a familiar smell of food came from the kitchen. Her stomach was already growling from hunger. She raised her head in the hall and saw Dario in the kitchen sprinkling condiments with a serious expression. Jade felt that Dario was the most handsome person in the world, especially when he was cooking. He could outshine all the male stars on TV, even the gorgeous male protagonist of Decadent Lady, Michael Porter. If Mike's female fans saw Dario, they would definitely change their target. Jade laughed to herself. She should keep him away from female fans at all costs. After lunch, Jade watched TV for a while. When she was about to wash the dishes, she received a call from Caroline, saying that she was downstairs. Dario immediately took over at the sink and said indifferently to her, "You can go down. I'll clean up here." Jade looked at him with embarrassment. "Why don't you leave it for now? I'll wash it when I come back tonight." She was worried that he would be too tired and delay his work. She did not expect Dario to narrow his dark eyes and say lightly, "What is it? Do you want 7 times a night?" Jade was speechless. Forget it. If he loved to wash dishes so much, he could do it. "No, I don't. I'm leaving. Goodbye." Jade turned around and left. When Jade got into the passenger seat of Caroline's car, her manager looked at her with a trace of surprise in her eyes. She quickly recovered her composure, took out a powder compact from her bag, and handed it to Jade. Jade looked at her in confusion. "What's this for?" "Your neck. You need to cover it." Caroline glanced at her white neck and then handed Jade the compact. Jade looked in the rearview mirror and was mortified to discover that Dario had left a hickey on her neck. She awkwardly took the powder and blotted it on the red mark. Although it could not completely cover the mark, it helped. As long as no one looked closely, she should be okay. The atmosphere was uncomfortable. Jade was so nervous that she did not dare to say a word. Her hands trembled as she returned the powder to Caroline. Fortunately, Caroline only said coldly, "Don't make it so obvious next time." "Okay," Jade weakly replied. It was useless to talk to her like this. She hadn't given herself a hickey. She didn't even know when this one had happened. She was too shy for all of this. Fortunately, Caroline did not say anything else. Otherwise, Jade would definitely die of embarrassment. Today, Jade was going to shoot an advertisement for a skincare product. It was for the same company as the last time when she filmed an ad, Thompson Entertainment. Because of her Obelisk shampoo commercial, the people in the company knew her already. When they saw her coming over, they were very attentive. Someone brought her tea and water and then explained to her about the commercial that was going to be shot today. The makeup artists that were all assigned to her were all first-rate, and the cosmetics were all so high-end that Jade had only read about them in profiles of movie stars. The amount of money going onto her face made her really nervous. When the makeup artist was applying powder, Jade wanted to tell her to use less. This was so much money. Episode 170. Jade met her again. The makeup artist smiled and said, "It's fine, Miss Winslet. You can only show your value by using your cosmetics well. If you take photos or do advertisements, you need to exaggerate a little to create the best effect. It's just normal words. It doesn't matter if the painting is light. However, your skin is so good, even if you don't put on makeup and keep your face plain, you can totally stay still." As she spoke, there was some envy in the makeup artist's eyes. She didn't expect Jade's skin to be so tender. She'd seen many celebrities whose skin foundation was very poor. All of them relied on makeup. It was really troublesome. "You're really making fun of me." This was the first time Jade had been praised so much. She felt embarrassed. Jade was the most surprised when, after finishing Jade's makeup, the makeup artist actually took out a pen and paper and asked with embarrassment, "Miss Winslet, can I trouble you with something? My brother likes you very much. He knows that I'm doing your makeup today, and he wants me to ask for your signature." "What? My signature?" Jade was stunned when she heard the word signature. Oh my God. Did she hear her wrong? She couldn't believe that someone actually wanted her signature. This was something that she had never encountered in her 23 years of life. In the past, she had always been the one asking for autographs. Now, people were asking her for autographs. She was so happy. When the makeup artist saw Jade's reaction, she thought Jade was unhappy. Just as the makeup artist was about to tell Jade to forget it, Jade became so excited that she took the pen and paper and wrote down her name with trembling hands. "Miss Winslet, your handwriting is really beautiful, just like you." The makeup artist was a little overwhelmed by the favor Jade had done by giving her signature. She didn't expect her to be so kind. Jade was probably the kindest celebrity she had ever met. "Miss Winslet, now we can go and change our clothes." "Okay." The makeup artist gave her a one-piece dress that was pleated and beige. It was very suitable for the skincare product advertisement that she was going to shoot that day. Jade put on the dress and showed her elegance. It was a very comfortable fit. The faint crease of the dress was like a slight ripple in her heart. It was very fashionable, and it matched her lipstick well. There was a hint of playfulness in her elegance that made people feel very comfortable at first glance. After changing her clothes, Jade was about to go out when she unexpectedly met a person at the door. Jade frowned slightly. She hadn't expected to meet her again. If she met her for no reason, something would happen to her. She hoped that nothing would happen this time. Amelia Stevens saw Jade and stood at the door, looking at her contemptuously. Amelia didn't expect to see Jade there. She originally wanted to mock her, but seeing so many people looking at her, she just gave Jade a look. She didn't want to lose her moral character because of Jade. Amelia Stevens twisted her charming body and walked in front of Jade provocatively. She said lightly, "What a coincidence." Jade glanced at her indifferently. At first, Jade didn't even want to talk to her, but then she remembered what Caroline had said to her before. Even if she met someone she hated, she couldn't show it. She had to show her best side at all times. That way, she wouldn't let others get a hold of her weaknesses. She tried to act on Caroline's advice. Jade immediately changed her mood and covered up her disgust. She revealed a slight smile. "Yes, sorry, I have to go and shoot a commercial right now. We'll talk again next time." "Why isn't there anyone by your side to serve you? Why hasn't your company arranged an assistant for you? Don't tell me you don't even have an assistant." "I'm sorry." Amelia's eyes carried a trace of ridicule. She'd never seen a celebrity before. Everyone who came and went was the same person. It seemed that Milliken didn't value her very much. When Amelia thought of this, she felt much more at ease. Actually, Caroline had said something about an assistant to Jade since Caroline already had so many other actors to take care of. But Jade rejected it. She liked to do things by herself and felt that she didn't need an assistant. While Amelia spoke, she proudly passed her bag to an assistant standing beside her, as if she deliberately wanted to show off. Jade maintained a smile on her face. She didn't answer Amelia and only walked out indifferently. In any case, she didn't have time to waste with Amelia. Amelia looked at Jade's cold back, and a trace of jealousy instantly appeared in her eyes. She cursed in her heart, "That stinky woman! What qualifications does she have to become a leading advertising actress? And she's even on social media headlines." Was Jade prettier than her? Was her figure better than hers? Was her chest bigger than hers? Every time Amelia saw her advertisement on TV, she was filled with anger. So, to make herself as popular as Jade, Amelia specifically begged her grandfather to help her get into the back door of this company to shoot a skincare product advertisement. She thought that it was the company that made Jade popular. If Jade could become famous, she could definitely become famous too. Amelia wanted to snatch away Jade's advertising position. As soon as Jade went out, a staff member came forward to welcome her and gave her the skincare products that were to be filmed. They were from the world's top brand of skincare products. Their company wanted to promote a new type of shampoo. Generally speaking, they looked for celebrities who had endorsed the new product before. That way, it would be easier to introduce it. But Jade was an exception. The company felt that this product was very suitable for her. They believed that she would definitely be able to do the ad. It would be better to promote the new product and bring it to the highest level. Advertising wasn't very complicated. The actress only needed to perform a few elegant movements and say a few lines. The rest would be handled later, so it was relatively easy. Jade heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, she didn't need to do anything difficult. She was glad because she felt that she wouldn't have been able to handle anything difficult in her current state. Jade's movements were very casual. In addition to the clothes she was wearing, she was very natural and gave people a refreshing feeling. Her skin was very good. Even if she didn't deliberately display it, her skin was great for showing off the products. Just when Amelia was about to leave, she noticed that Jade was holding skincare products in her hands. Amelia felt a little unbalanced in her heart. Why was Jade able to shoot that product advertisement? The price of the essential oil in Jade's hands had already reached $750 per bottle. The product that Amelia had just shot was from the same company, but it was only their third-level product. It was an everyday product, and the price was under $75. Amelia couldn't believe that Jade was actually able to advertise the first-level product. She stomped her feet, and her eyes almost turned red. Jade felt a burning gaze staring at her, but she didn't pay attention to it since it would affect her mood before shooting the advertisement. But when she saw the man that appeared behind Amelia, her eyes filled with fear and disgust. Episode 171. A dog's tail can never be straightened. Jade was only dazed for a few seconds. She soon adjusted herself and continued shooting. She hadn't expected Bruce Stevens to show up as well. Bruce had taken a good picture before he came to pick up Amelia. He hadn't expected to find Jade there also. He stared intently at Jade, who was shooting the commercial. He looked at the innocent smile on her face and thought of how she used to smile that way when they were dating. But ever since that man, Dario, had appeared, her expression was always cold toward him. She even used vicious words to curse him. She was a completely different person from when they were dating. Bruce's eyes immediately turned dark. He stared at Jade's radiant appearance. For a moment, he couldn't move his eyes away. Amelia noticed that Bruce's eyes were focused on Jade. She angrily stepped forward and fiercely poked his arm. "Have you not seen enough already? No matter how you look at it, she's still someone else's wife. Her husband is richer and more handsome than you. Haven't you seen him? You were together for 5 years before you dumped her. Then you turned around and left. You quickly climbed into someone else's bed and you're still living a good life. Don't you feel anything at all? I see that Jade has been doing this for the past 5 years. I've never really treated you. After you broke up with her, were you sad for even a day? You treated her so well at first, you really didn't deserve her." Bruce's expression turned ugly when he heard Amelia's words. He'd never treated Amelia sincerely before. His eyes became very scary, but he took a step back when he saw that Amelia was afraid. "Don't worry, I'll make sure things go badly for her." Bruce's eyes became colder and colder. It looked like he was scheming about something. Because of Jade, Dario had made him suffer a great deal. He'd even been taken to the police station once, causing his friends to laugh at him many times. He would get his revenge and make them pay. When Amelia saw that Bruce was determined to deal with Jade, joy and excitement appeared in her beautiful eyes. She wanted to kill Jade. Why should Jade have such a perfect man at her side when Amelia wanted to steal him from her? She wasn't worthy. That man was hers. In less than half an hour, Jade had finished filming. The director was satisfied and told her to rest for a while. Later, she would try out another set of clothes. After Jade finished filming, she politely said to the filming crew, "Thank you for your hard work." When that person heard Jade, his face turned red. He hadn't expected such a beautiful person to talk to him. It made him very happy. When Jade went out, she completely ignored Amelia and Bruce and went to the dressing room. She walked by them as if they weren't even there, making them even more unhappy. "Bruce, you've treated her too good in the past. And what does she think of you now? She used to spend so much of your money. You bought her so many things, but she has no feelings for you anymore. Tsk, tsk. She is one ungrateful woman." Amelia said as she fumed with anger. "Enough! I don't want to hear any more," Bruce roared as he turned his head. Even if Amelia was his older sister, he couldn't bear hearing her say these things. Bruce walked out after Jade with a gloomy face. Amelia watched their backs as they walked out, the corners of her lips curled up and her eyes filled with pride. There happened to be no one in the dressing room when Jade walked in. She was just about to change her clothes when she suddenly felt a chill from behind her. Before she could react, Bruce had already stepped forward and grabbed her arm. He gripped her with his strong hand until her arm turned red. Jade screamed and turned her head around in surprise. When she saw that it was Bruce, her face immediately turned cold. "Mr. Stevens, did you follow me? Why are you always pestering me? Why don't you get lost?" Jade said bluntly. When he heard her, Bruce's expression became even uglier. He stared at her and gripped her arm even harder. His expression became even more dangerous. "Jade, you're getting bolder and bolder. You dare to scold me? You must not value your life." Jade helplessly looked at the disgusting man in front of her. She really didn't understand why he still insisted on pestering her, since he had already married her cousin. Why must he show up and torture her? Was it not enough that he had already hurt her? What exactly did he want? "Bruce, I advise you to let go of me now, or I'll shout for help." Jade appeared very calm as she spoke. It seemed that Bruce didn't worry her. She didn't feel any fear toward him. Her threat to shout and her indifferent attitude made Bruce's eyes turn cold instantly. He didn't know why, but he felt very unhappy. He smiled and looked at her contemptuously. "Jade, you shamelessly chased after me 5 years ago and wanted to give me your heart. You said that you wanted to follow me for the rest of your life. Now that you have a rich man, why do you turn hostile and refuse to recognize me?" He hated the look on her face and wanted to tear it off immediately. Jade smiled coldly. She didn't know who had lied to her for 5 years if he didn't talk about it. "Let me tell you, back then I was blind, and I was stupid to fall for you. If I had known you lied to me, do you think I would have fallen for a scumbag like you?" Jade sneered. Her eyes were full of disgust. She felt that Bruce must have eaten his fill before he suddenly came to look for her. Hadn't he already married Ivana Winslet? He even flaunted his ring in front of everyone. "What did you say? Do you want to die?" Bruce's face turned ugly. He held Jade's arm tightly and pushed her against the cold wall. At the same time, the hostility in his eyes became stronger. "Are you done? Get out of my sight." Jade frowned. She wanted to get rid of him, but he was holding her tightly. She couldn't move at all. She tried to kick his thigh with her high heels, but he stopped her. He pressed her entire body against hers, making her unable to move at all. They were suddenly very close together. Jade could feel his breath on her face. Jade was disgusted by being so close to him. "What? Do you still want to fight me? You're overestimating yourself." Bruce stared at her legs, and his anger grew stronger. Episode 172. A Piercing Scar. Bruce hadn't expected that Jade would dare to fight back. He really didn't think that someone as gentle as Jade would have such a fierce side. Jade frowned as she felt a piercing pain in her arm, but she forced herself to endure the pain. She wanted to call for help, but was afraid of causing trouble for herself and the company. Her current identity wasn't the same as before. If she wasn't worried about someone seeing Bruce pressing himself against her, she would have been shouting for someone long ago. She had to quickly find a way to get out of this situation by herself. "Bruce, it's over between us. I have nothing to do with you anymore. I hope that this is the end between us." Jade took a deep breath and tried to reason with him, but she had forgotten that the person standing in front of her was like a mad dog. Bruce was in a daze as if he was watching a show. As he watched her struggle under his body, a smile appeared in his eyes. The more she struggled, the more painful it was. Jade's pain made Bruce happy. "Hurry up and let go of me, you bastard." Jade's clear eyes were full of annoyance. "I won't let you go? What can you do to me? I don't believe it. Doesn't that man always appear to save you?" When Bruce thought about how Dario had taken him down so many times, he was especially unhappy. He reached out the back of his hand and forcefully slapped her face. When he thought of the last time that he saw them kissing in front of him, his stomach filled with anger. Bruce still couldn't believe how secretive Dario's identity was. He'd investigated for a long time, yet he still hadn't found any clues about him. Bruce couldn't stand that there was someone in Washington that he couldn't find. Jade looked at him angrily. When he patted her face, she became ruthless and quickly bit his hand. She even bit especially hard, as if she wanted to crunch his bones. Bruce felt pain and immediately pulled his hand away. His handsome face became distorted because of the pain. "Jade, you must want to die. How dare you bite me?" Just as Jade was about to escape, Bruce used his other hand to fiercely grab her by the neck. She felt a suffocating feeling in her throat. Bruce only let go of her when she was almost unable to breathe. Jade then leaned against the wall and panted heavily. Her face went white, and because of Bruce's grip, the powder on her neck was wiped off, revealing a bright red mark underneath. Bruce's gaze instantly stopped on her neck. Those red marks had clearly been left by a man. It was very dazzling. What made him even angrier was that he hadn't been able to leave a mark on her body even after spending 5 years with her. But that man had actually left a mark on her body in a single month. Damn it! Bruce was suddenly provoked by that mark. He ruthlessly grabbed her neck where the mark was and dug his nails into her flesh. Jade felt a sharp pain and raised her head. She immediately pushed him away. "Bruce, you're crazy." What was he trying to do? Did he want her to die? "I'm crazy. I think you're the one who's crazy. You pretend to be pure and clean in front of me, but I know different. Do you like men leaving marks on your body? Wow." Bruce's face darkened, and his jealousy almost made him lose his mind. In the next second, he had already pressed Jade tightly against the wall and lowered his head. He wanted to erase the traces left by that man. He kissed her fiercely and even sucked her neck hard. He wanted to get rid of the marks on her neck and leave his own marks. "Fuck you, Bruce. Get out of my way." Jade could feel his cold lips sucking at her neck. At that moment, she felt a wave of nausea and panic in her heart. She desperately reached out her hand to push him away, but it didn't work at all. Her teeth were chattering, and just when she was about to fiercely bite him, a familiar voice suddenly sounded from outside. "Bruce, get out of here!" Amelia shouted from the door in a panic. Her eyes were focused on them. They soon heard the sound of footsteps. It seemed that someone had come in. Bruce obviously heard it too. He gave Jade a fierce glare before letting go. He didn't want to be seen by others, since he didn't want to cause trouble for Amelia and himself. The moment Bruce let go, Jade fiercely slapped him. Slap! A violent sound rang out in the room. Jade looked at him with trembling eyes. She saw his face twist, bit by bit. There wasn't a trace of fear in her heart. He deserved far more than just that one slap. "Huh, well done, Jade. You're dead for sure." Bruce's eyes were filled with anger while he warned her fiercely. Jade glanced at him and rubbed her neck with disgust. She walked past him coldly. At that moment, a group of people came over. Bruce could only give up and leave without saying anything. Amelia angrily glared at Jade, but Jade ignored her and left. Jade felt disgusted the moment she saw either of them. "Jade, you'll pay the price." Amelia looked at the photo she'd just taken on her phone and instantly revealed a sinister smile. "Ha, ha, ha." Amelia said to herself, "So you think you're an advertising goddess? I want you to see what it feels like to fall from heaven to hell." After Jade came out, her heart was pounding. Because she was afraid that Caroline would find out what had happened, she hurriedly covered the marks on her neck and arms in powder. She patted her face and calmed herself down before leaving. Caroline sat in the car and waited for her. When she saw Jade, she didn't notice anything. She only said somewhat impatiently, "Why are you so slow? The scene you shot earlier has had a new part added, so I want you to go over and reshoot it." Jade knew that she was talking about the movie called Big House that Rosie had filmed. She was originally a minor character. Later on, she didn't do much, but was suddenly added to the movie. She became the third female, and now she added another scene. She also knew that she'd been shooting the decadent lady outside of the city. Therefore, she didn't have the time to go. The director of Big House didn't say anything either. He only said that he would let her come over when she had time to make up for it. That was good. It was probably because she saw her advertisement become popular and added it to her temporarily. Jade also hoped to take advantage of these few days to film this movie. Otherwise, she would feel that something was wrong. Jade never would have guessed that after this trip, she would learn of a piece of news that would make her heart ache. Episode 173. The big news about Miss Monica. Caroline walked over and said that something was going on at the company. She left first and said that she would come back to pick Jade up after she was done. Caroline, be careful on the road. Jade noticed Violet, who she hadn't seen for a long time. Violet rushed over and gave her a big bear hug. Hey, Jade, you're a big star now. I almost didn't recognize you. You even have a special car to pick you up. You seem so different. Violet looked at her enviously and sighed. She wondered how the gap between them could have grown so big. It was already school graduation. Jade is 200 in one match, and her good classmates are almost 20,000 in one match. Caroline had only sent Jade because she was in a hurry. Jade hadn't expected to be seen by Violet. Violet, don't call me a big star, please. It's not good for people to hear it. Besides, I'm not a big star. Jade lowered her head from embarrassment. She was afraid that others would notice her. But you really are. Look how popular your advertisement is. And the other day, I saw you in a magazine. Violet quickly reached into her pocket and took out her phone to take pictures. She had finally caught her famous classmate. It was time to take pictures so that she could show off. What magazine? Jade asked curiously. It's called Beautiful Woman. Haven't you even seen the cover? Violet found it on her phone and showed Jade the photo. Beautiful Woman was a popular magazine all over the world. It was about the fashion and clothing of famous people. Jade saw that it was true. She was on the cover. But before the last photo was taken, Amelia had slapped her face, and she couldn't continue. Jade thought that they wouldn't have used that photo, so she was very surprised to find that they had used it for the cover photo. She couldn't believe her eyes. Jade, did you know that your idol came today to be a guest singer? Violet suddenly pulled her to the side. She was very mysterious. Jade thought that something seemed strange. Wasn't it just her idol coming? Why was she so mysterious? But then Jade found out that Violet had something to show her. You mean Miss Monica? Jade's eyes lit up. Miss Monica was a female star that she had always liked. She felt that Miss Monica was very good, beautiful, and talented. She heard that there was a director who wanted to keep an unspoken rule about Miss Monica, but she beat him up. The director even said he wanted to shut her down. But a video was secretly uploaded online that made Miss Monica really popular and got her a lot of good reviews. In the end, it wasn't her but the director who was asked to get out. More and more people were waiting for her next film. Jade admired such a brave actress. Yeah, Miss Monica, I brought her gossip today. Violet had a smug look on her face. What gossip? There was rarely gossip about Miss Monica. If there was, she would have been in the headlines a long time ago. How could she need Violet to tell her? Violet saw Jade's doubt and knew that she didn't believe her. She quickly took out her phone as if it was a treasure. Big news. Let me tell you, this is my exclusive news. I saw a man take Miss Monica to the crew. Do you think he's her man? I even took pictures. Well, you said that I don't want to be an actress, but wouldn't it be awesome to be part of the paparazzi? I definitely have a bright future. Violet looked like she was gossiping, but Jade wasn't very interested. However, Miss Monica had never had any scandals because she always said that she had no male friends. When Jade saw the photo, she was stunned. She suddenly grabbed Violet's phone. After confirming that the car was Dario's, her heart sank. How could this be? How could it be his car? How could he be related to Miss Monica? Hey, look. Don't you think I'm awesome? There was more. But because I was in the car, I couldn't see very clearly. Anyone who can get close to Miss Monica must be very handsome. Violet didn't notice the change in Jade's expression. Violet was still immersed in her excitement and even found another photo for Jade to see. This one was even more obvious than the last one. It showed Miss Monica's face. She wore sunglasses and had a smile on her face. Most importantly, her hand was placed on the arm of the man beside her. They looked very intimate. No wonder Violet would think that he was her man. Although the photo didn't show his face, Jade could still recognize him from the clothes he was wearing and the look in his eyes. Jade thought that it was the same black suit he put on after getting intimate with her that morning. Even if she could comfort herself that the car might have been driven by someone else, how could she explain the matching clothes? They were exactly the same as Dario's clothes. Seeing Miss Monica in her seat and the two of them looking so intimate in the car, Jade suddenly felt as if her heart were being pricked by needles. It was so painful that she couldn't breathe. Jade suddenly remembered the scene outside the Milliken Company and what happened at the airport that day. Now that she recalled, it seemed that it was Miss Monica who was with him both times. Jade only realized this now because Miss Monica was wearing very secretive clothing both times. But now that she thought about it carefully, she realized that she had run into her and Dario together several times. Why? How did it become like this? Was Dario both Miss Monica's boyfriend and Jade's husband at the same time? Wow, Miss Monica's boyfriend is really rich. That is the most expensive Rolls Royce, and it's an outdated version. I heard it cost tens of millions. Violet looked at the car and envied it almost to death. Because of this car, she earned 10 lifetimes. She couldn't earn it either. What did you say? That car costs tens of millions. When Jade heard that number, she was completely stunned. That's right. If you don't believe me, I'll check for you. Violet searched the car and showed her the price. It was really worth that much. She clearly remembered David Swan telling her that the car only cost a few $100,000. Jade couldn't believe how expensive it was. No wonder Lucas looked at her with that expression when they talked about the car. Jade's heart immediately felt uncomfortable. She felt that she'd been made a fool of. They must have been laughing at her in their hearts, as if she were a country bumpkin. His car was very expensive. Why did he keep a low profile in front of her? Jade simply couldn't imagine how rich he must be. Why did you lie to me? Jade felt her throat tighten, and her eyes couldn't help but tear up. Episode 174. She was in a bad mood. Violet realized that something seemed to be wrong with Jade. When she turned to look at her, she noticed her eyes were wet. Violet said, "Hey, Jade, what's wrong? Who lied to you? Jade, are you all right? Try not to get so excited." Violet thought that Jade was crying because of something to do with the man that her idol was with in the car. Jade felt indescribably bitter. She hurriedly wiped her tears and pretended that nothing had happened. She said, I'm fine. It's nothing. Don't worry." Jade couldn't tell Violet that the person in the pictures was her husband. Besides, this kind of thing happened. Even if she did, no one would believe her. Jade was just a nobody compared to Miss Monica. What chance did she have? "Hey, Jade, look over here. Miss Monica is coming out. Look over there. She's so beautiful and imposing. Why can't I be like her?" Violet's eyes suddenly lit up as she stared in the direction of the door. Jade looked and saw that Miss Monica had just come out. It was rare to see such a popular star, and this star was Jade's idol. She should have been very happy. But after seeing those pictures, she couldn't be happy no matter what. She didn't even know how to face her. As she saw Miss Monica, who was being hugged as she came out, Jade was about to rush to the side to hide. But at that moment, Miss Monica suddenly took off her sunglasses and took the initiative to greet her. Both Violet and Jade were dumbfounded. "You're Jade, aren't you? I've seen your advertisement. It's very good. But you're even prettier in person." Miss Monica was very kind, and her voice was especially clear. She wasn't like what everybody said about her at all. She was a proud person. Jade looked at her and was somewhat flattered. She said, "Receiving your praise is my honor." Miss Monica then politely smiled at her and left. As soon as she went out, a group of fans surrounded her outside the house. Everyone wanted her signature. She didn't stay for long, but only greeted a few fans before getting in the car to leave. "Wow, Jade, she just spoke to you. God, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I take a picture?" Violet was embarrassed as she spoke. Jade felt as if she had knocked over a bottle of 5 flavors. She didn't like it at all. Miss Monica was far more outstanding in person than Jade had imagined. She had a beautiful face and figure, and her aura was captivating. Furthermore, she was such a big star that she had become famous overseas. As for Jade, what was she? She had only done an advertisement and was already starting to feel proud of herself. There was a huge gap between her and this woman, but the distance between her and Dario was even greater. Perhaps the two of them, Miss Monica and Dario, were the perfect match. At least there wouldn't be as big a difference between them. "Hey Jade, what's wrong with you? Why are you still standing there? The director will be looking for you soon." Violet saw her standing there in a daze and couldn't help but go up and pat her on the shoulder to remind her. "Oh, right. I'm going in now." It took Jade a long while to come back to her senses. She felt like a walking corpse. She had lost her soul, and she was constantly thinking about Dario and Miss Monica. For some reason, although she was clearly Dario's legal wife, in front of Miss Monica, She felt like a third wheel. She felt unbelievably bad and uncomfortable. After returning to the big house crew, Jade was quickly taken to put on makeup and change clothes. But she was feeling very uneasy. When filming, she wasn't in the right state of mind. There were several times that Violet had to remind her of her lines from the side. At first, the director didn't seem to mind, but after a few more times, the director's face darkened. Then others, who were being delayed by Jade, started to complain, and Jade could them. Someone was secretly saying that she was acting big. In the end, the director came over to talk to her, but he was kind enough to not do it in front of everyone. In private, he said to her, "Jade, what's going on with you today? In the past, you never did an NG shot. Are you only taking up big roles now? You must look down on my small role. I'm almost done shooting this scene, so it's impossible to change it now. This is all you can do. Do you understand? I've already given you Rosie's part," the director said excitedly. "No, director, it's my fault. I'm sorry. I've caused you trouble. I'll definitely do better next time," Jade said apologetically. What did he mean when he said that he gave her Rosie's role? Wasn't Rosie the second female lead? Why hadn't she seen her again? Violet later told her that Rosie beat herself up every day because she couldn't accept the role. In a fit of anger, she said that she didn't even want the pay and then left. What she had filmed before was in vain because all the directors had deleted her filming. Although Jade felt that it was strange, she wasn't a gossiper and didn't ask many questions. She tried her best to forget those unhappy things and tried to recover as quickly as she could. If she wanted to act the role, she had to do her best. Caroline was right. She couldn't let her private life affect her work. For dinner, Jade originally wanted to go and get some fast food, but the crew suddenly handed her an exquisite meal. They said that her manager had brought it over for her. When she opened the lunchbox, she didn't even need to try it. She knew whose masterpiece it was just by looking at it. She trembled as she picked up the fork. Her throat suddenly tightened. She took a bite. It was so bitter that she couldn't swallow it. She didn't know why the food was so bitter that day. In the end, she didn't eat much. She only drank a little water and rested for a while before starting to film again. Because she had wasted a lot of time during the afternoon, Jade asked to do a few more shots at night to catch up. Furthermore, she wanted to finish filming there as early as possible so that she could go back to shoot the decadent lady. She didn't expect that she would be busy until midnight. At midnight, Violet yawned and said goodbye to Jade before taking a taxi home on her own. Caroline called Jade and told her to wait. Naturally, someone would pick her up. Jade ignored what Caroline said. It was already so late, and she didn't want to bother anyone. She stood in front of the door in a daze. She looked at the street lamps and the road in front of her, and suddenly felt a little lost. Where should she go? She took a deep breath and thought for a long time. Then, she slowly took out her phone and dialed his number. Just as she was thinking about what to say, the person on the other end of the line picked up instantly. Episode 175. Drive well and don't talk. Did you miss me? A familiar yet magnetic voice rang in Jade's ears. Jade didn't pay attention to what he said. Instead, she said lightly, "Mr. Foster, have you not rested yet?" "What is it?" Hearing her say Mr. Foster, Dario's tone instantly turned cold. She could feel his coldness, even through the phone. She could even imagine the indifferent expression on his face. It must be very smelly. "Mr. Foster, if you're not busy with work, you should go to sleep. I won't be back tonight. I plan to go and see Grandma, and then I'm going back to the crew in a few days." Before Jade could finish her sentence, Dario hung up the phone. She looked at the dark screen with a gloomy expression. For some reason, she was suddenly in a very bad mood. He didn't say anything and just hung up. What did it mean? It meant that he didn't care whether she went back home or not. Or maybe he wished that she wouldn't come back. That scoundrel. Jade was desperately typing on her phone to anger Dario with his indifferent attitude when a familiar yet magnetic voice suddenly sounded behind her. "You can visit your grandmother during the day, but you must come back to sleep at night. That is only fair." Jade turned her head and met Dario's cold eyes. She looked at him with some surprise and asked, Mr. Foster, where did you come from?" "I came to pick you up." Dario's expression wasn't good. He seemed to be suppressing something. Jade's heart skipped a beat. Caroline had said that someone would come to pick her up. Was she talking about Dario? "Come back with me." Dario went up to hold her hand, but Jade broke free. But Mr. Foster, I've been working during the day, so I have no time to see my grandma. How is that fair? Before Jade could finish, Dario picked her up, carried her in his arms like a princess, and left. When he set her down in the back seat, he pressed his entire body against her, even though he had lots of room. His handsome face was full of coldness. It was as if he could freeze someone at any time with his eyes. What are you doing? Jade was a little uneasy as she twisted her body. Dario pursed his thin lips and reached out his hand to forcefully pinch her chin. He looked at her with an ambiguous gaze. 3 times. You called me 3 times just now. What's wrong? Do you want to tell me now? Or do you want to go back and talk about it? Dario didn't show any emotion. Jade's face immediately turned red when she understood what he meant. He was a bastard. She just called him Mr. Foster. Who would have thought that he would do that with her 3 times? This was too much. Could he not associate everything with that? You misunderstood me. I don't want to have sex with you. I just want to be with Grandma, Jade said, and then helplessly sighed. I remember telling you that I would kill you if you called me Mr. Foster again. Didn't you call me that on purpose because you wanted to come with me? Dario narrowed his eyes as he approached her. Jade could clearly feel his breath on her face. His deep eyes became more and more fierce. She took a deep breath and said decisively, I think you think too much. I don't have that intention. Oh? Is that so? You obviously like it. Otherwise, why would you look at me the way you did in the morning? Thinking of Jade floating in the bathroom that morning, Dario suddenly felt a heat in his lower abdomen. She often made him feel that way. Don't talk nonsense. I don't want to do that, Jade said. Seeing that Dario was speaking faster and faster, Jade immediately became anxious. If he continued speaking that way, she would really need to find a place to hide from him. It was still morning. He was actually forced to look at himself in the mirror. It was simply abnormal. In any case, she definitely wouldn't go into the bathroom with him next time. She felt that even if she had an IQ of 200, she wouldn't be able to compare to him. She simply shut her mouth and didn't say anything. She just quietly sat there. Dario saw that she had calmed down, so he kissed her lips and carried her to the passenger seat. After he fastened her seatbelt, he walked to the driver's seat and began driving. For some reason, Dario drove very slowly, and he wasn't as focused as usual. He would often sneak glances at Jade and put his hand on her thigh. He deliberately touched her, as if he wanted to do something during the night when no one was around. Jade frowned and pulled her thigh back. She forcefully pushed his hand away. She thought of Miss Monica sitting in that seat and felt very uncomfortable in her heart. It seemed to her that Miss Monica's scent was still left on it. She could smell the perfume. It was the same perfume that she had smelled on Dario last time. Now Dario was sitting next to her. She should have been happy that he came to pick her up, but she felt very awkward. Jade had just begun to say Mr. Foster when she felt a cold aura coming from beside her. She was so scared that she immediately changed her words. Dario, can you drive properly, Dario? And don't touch me. Jade glared at him angrily. Couldn't he concentrate on driving properly? Although it was the middle of the night, what if there was an accident? Then do you not wish to touch your hands and feet and come directly? So you like it to be so simple and crude. Then you don't have to go through so much trouble next time. Dario stared at her with a serious expression as he spoke. Jade almost vomited when she heard him. What kind of logic was that? How on earth did he twist what she said so much? Sometimes she really admired him. Dario, can you not be so full of yourself? I'll admit that I've fallen in love with you a little, but I'm not that lowly. Please don't say such things. You're too arrogant. Do you think every woman wants to be with you? Jade didn't know how she said those words, but when she thought of the picture that Violet showed her earlier, she became extremely angry. She turned away from him and kept her thoughts to herself. She felt some regret after what she said. The silence in the car made her feel scared. She secretly glanced at Dario and only then realized that his gaze had already shifted away from her. He was currently looking forward with a blank expression. His dark eyes made her think of a wolf lurking in the night and of beasts, sex, and danger. She was filled with fear and wanted to escape. Episode 176. You want to leave me? Jade subconsciously shrank her body and looked away in fear. Neither of them spoke for a long time. There was only the sound of the car driving. She felt that she had gone too far with what she had just said. Was he angry at her? Dario, I was talking nonsense just now. Don't take it to heart. Jade smiled awkwardly. Suddenly, she felt that the speed of the car was getting faster and faster. The speedometer went from 50 miles per hour to 100 to 150. It felt like the entire car was flying. The streetlights on the side of the road flashed by and couldn't be seen clearly. She became very frightened. She had never seen Dario like this. He pursed his thin lips and didn't say a word. He just drove very calmly, but the atmosphere in the car was very cool. Dario didn't say anything at all in the face of Jade's apology. Jade didn't feel guilty. She thought that if anyone had done something wrong, it was him. Why should she apologize? If it wasn't for him flirting with other women, she wouldn't have been upset in the first place. She held her breath and didn't stop him from speeding up. Many things flashed through her mind. Maybe this was the result of an unexpected marriage. They didn't know each other that well because they had got married in a hurry. As a result, she didn't know how to ask him questions or talk to him when she was angry. If they had a deep relationship, she would be able to ask him why he was with Miss Monica. But as it was, she felt that she couldn't really talk to him at all. Furthermore, Jade felt that Miss Monica was so much more outstanding than her. Originally, Jade didn't intend to base their relationship on love, but she didn't know that she would end up handing over her entire heart. Jade couldn't help but sneer as she thought, what was the use of giving up her heart? So what if she handed over the most precious thing? She didn't cherish it at all. If he was interested in her, why would he go behind her back and secretly meet other women? Perhaps he had never had her in his heart from the beginning. Maybe he'd just been teasing her, like Bruce. Rich people were full of schemes. They liked to play with girls from poor families. Although she felt that the man in front of her wasn't that kind of person, the reality seemed clear. What reason did she have to stay with him? But why did he say the words, "I love you," in her ear that day? Didn't he know that he couldn't just say those words without meaning them? When someone says those words, they're saying that their body and mind belong to the other person. Jade calmly thought for a while. It was best to take a deep breath before seriously saying to the man beside her, "Mr. Foster, I have something to tell you. If you fall in love with another woman, I'm willing to leave, and I definitely won't pester you." Before Jade could finish her words, she suddenly felt a powerful force. She was shocked to find that Dario had suddenly slammed on the brakes. Although she had fastened her seatbelt, she still rushed forward. Just when her head was about to hit the glass in front of her, Dario rushed to stop her. Jade's head fell against his solid arm. His muscles were highly developed. After a huge impact, Jade's head hurt, and she immediately felt dizzy. She looked up in a daze. It seemed that the handsome face in front of her had turned into three. She vaguely saw that Dario's expression was especially ugly. It seemed that he was going to swallow her alive. Even though her head had hit him hard, he didn't seem to feel any pain at all. He was just as calm as before. Jade took a breath and sat back in her seat. She reached out her hand to rub her aching head and said, "Hey, why did you suddenly hit the brake? You could have hurt us." Dario looked at her coldly. After a long time, he said something that made her unsure whether she should laugh or be frightened. "Don't worry. Even if I was killed, I wouldn't let you die." "Dario, you don't have to exaggerate so much." Jade regained her senses. "Huh? Exaggerate? What do you mean by that?" Dario asked coldly. He had heard her words clearly enough, but he wanted to confirm what she meant. "Nothing. I meant that if you have someone else in your heart, please tell me as soon as you can and don't hide it from me." "You mean that you want to leave me?" If Jade had turned her head to look at Dario at that moment, she would have seen how terrifying Dario's expression was. His fists were tightly clenched, and it seemed that he was about to explode at any moment. Jade tried her best not to look at him because she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to speak after seeing him. "It's not that I want to leave you, but I don't want to get between you and someone else. Besides, our relationship has never been based on love, right? So it's only a matter of time before we end it." The more Jade spoke, the more her heart hurt. In the end, she was in despair. She felt that she had already given up on herself and their marriage. They were people from two different worlds. How could they continue? "So you've been intending to leave me from the start?" Dario suddenly turned around with a smile on his face. For some reason, his smile made Jade especially scared. It was better not to smile. This side of him was too scary for her. He pinched her chin and forced her to lower her head. She raised her head high and looked into his dark eyes. Dario's eyes were especially sharp. It was as though he was trying to see through her. He thought he knew her very well, but at that moment, he realized that he didn't understand her at all. He was getting more and more confused about what she was thinking. Jade took a deep breath. Her heart was full of reluctance, but she still chose to withdraw. In the end, she just nodded her head. Dario might have considered her nodding as tacitly agreeing with his question. Very good. Is that really what you plan to do? Dario held her chin, and his hand involuntarily tightened, but when he saw Jade's frown, he immediately released his grip. He didn't want to hurt her. Yes. Jade looked straight into his eyes as she calmly replied. Her tone was confident. Episode 177. Please don't force me. You don't care about me? Well, I don't care about you either. That was what Jade thought back then. As soon as she finished speaking, Dario restarted the car. He sped up even more than before. Jade's heart was beating hard, and her body fell heavily against the seat. Her face contorted from pain, but Dario didn't have any intention of slowing down. He even increased his speed. Dario didn't know what had happened that night. Instead of driving home directly, he drove through many places Jade didn't know. He drove very fast. She felt that he was going to drive around the entire city. Dario seemed to be venting his anger. He drove faster and faster. His face looked cold and scary. Even though the car was warm enough, Jade felt a bone-piercing chill. This chill came from the man beside her. Jade didn't say anything as they drove. She only became increasingly annoyed at his attitude. What was he doing? Did he want to date another woman on the side and still not let her leave him? Did he want it both ways? Dream on. She wouldn't give him that chance. Even though he was her savior and it helped her a lot, she really couldn't stand this kind of thing. She couldn't stand the man who'd been intimate with her that morning. In the blink of an eye, he was doing the same thing with another woman. She wouldn't stand by and pretend not to notice. Dario walked around outside for almost an hour when they got home. Jade, who'd been shooting commercials and movies, was already exhausted. The two of them were silent when they were home together. But after Jade took a bath and then walked towards the door, Dario completely erupted. Seeing that she wanted to speak, Dario quickly stopped her and coldly asked, "Are you going to sleep?" He narrowed his eyes and stared at her. His dark eyes revealed both danger and patience. Jade tried to push his body, but no matter how hard she tried, he wouldn't move. She sighed helplessly. After trying to get him to move, she said lightly, "Dario, please move aside. I want to sleep in the guest room tonight." After hearing what she said, Dario's face turned cold again. After a long time, he said indifferently, "Why?" Jade raised her head and stared at him. Was he serious? She didn't want to sleep with him because she couldn't accept that he had the smell of other women on him. She didn't want to sleep with such a person. "There's no reason. I just want to sleep alone tonight." Jade stubbornly turned her head and went to open the door, but Dario suddenly reached out his wide palm and grabbed her wrist with force. His eyes flashed with intensity. In the past, he hadn't realized how tough his wife's temper was. She had recently become increasingly fond of throwing tantrums at him. "So you want to sleep alone? That's not going to happen." She heard his threat when he spoke, which made Jade even more unhappy. "I want to sleep alone. Why do you say I can't? What right do you have to say that?" Jade couldn't take him always acting so high and mighty. He was always ordering her around. Was she his wife, or was she just a toy for him to play with? As she thought, Jade felt a stabbing pain in her heart, but she also felt strengthened and all the more unwilling to sleep with him. "Let go. I want to go to the guest room." Jade raised her head and stared straight into his eyes. Although his eyes were like ice piercing her heart, her eyes were still very firm. "You want me to let you go, but I won't." Just as Dario finished speaking, he lifted Jade up and threw her onto the bed. Jade wanted to get up, but Dario rushed forward and pressed against her body, giving her no chance to move. Her heart suddenly jumped, and an ominous feeling invaded her. "Hey, Dario, what do you want? Let go of me. I'm going out. I don't want to sleep with you. Let go. Let go." Jade seemed to have gone mad. She kept hitting his chest, and she even bit his arm. Although she didn't bite too hard, Dario didn't care what she did. He didn't frown and only held her tighter. Really? You don't want to sleep with me, but I want to sleep with you. You want me to let go, but I won't. I'll make you face me even if you want to go out and don't want to see me. Dario pinched her chin as he spoke, forcing her to look at him. At any other time, Jade might not have gotten so excited when she heard his words, but at that moment, she was fuming with anger. He was already intimate with other women. Why did he need to force her? Go away, Dario, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Jade saw that he wasn't willing to let her go, so she kicked him hard. At first, Dario just let her kick him, but later on, for some unknown reason, Jade seemed to have accidentally kicked him. Dario's expression immediately changed. His dark eyes were filled with hostility and flashed with pain. Jade's heart skipped a beat. She quickly stopped moving. She stayed motionless and looked at him stiffly. Dario's eyes became incomparably dark and cold. He stretched out his wide palm and grabbed Jade by the ankle. He looked down at her. She was on the ground in a half-kneeling posture. Suddenly, he stretched out his hand and started to take off her clothes. After Jade sensed his intention, she immediately shrank to the side and looked at him with fear out of her pained eyes. What do you want? Jade looked at him carefully. I want to do what a husband and wife should do, Dario said bluntly as he stared at her. Dario, I beg you, don't force me. Why? Weren't you happy this morning? Dario grabbed her ankle and dragged her from the edge of the bed to his side. Jade was already very angry. Seeing him ignoring her feelings and trying to force her, she felt even worse. All of a sudden, she was full of rage. Dario, that is enough. I don't want you to touch me. I'm disgusted, Jade screamed and then tightly clenched her trembling lips. Episode 178. A Misunderstanding. Disgusting? This was the first time. Some people said he was disgusting. How interesting. Dario sat there in a daze. Jade wanted to take the opportunity to escape, but Dario pulled her to him as soon as she began to move. He pressed his lips against hers and bit her lips. The pain made her frown. But although he used a lot of his strength, he knew his limits. He didn't leave any wounds. Jade's lips were just a little red and swollen. Don't! Jade had just begun to shout when Dario pried her lips open and stuck his tongue in her mouth. At first, Jade resisted with all her might and desperately tried to turn her head away. She didn't want him to kiss her, but Dario pressed his palm against the back of her head, making the distance between them closer and closer until she couldn't move at all. Jade kept trying to get away as his tongue moved in her mouth. She didn't know why Dario had tried to force her and stick his tongue in her mouth all the time. Jade tried to resist and hit his chest hard, but it was useless. She bit his tongue almost as hard as she could. She thought that would make him stop. But Dario only stopped for a moment before he began crazily tearing at her clothes. He tore her dress apart, revealing her pink inner clothes. He sucked her tongue even more wantonly. The pain didn't stop him, but only aggravated him more. Jade bit it increasingly harder. She only stopped when she couldn't bear to bite it anymore. She knew that he must be in pain, even though his face remained calm. Jade felt that she had lost her soul. She couldn't resist any longer. At that moment, she was like a puppet under someone's control. When Dario took off her clothes, tears began to fall quietly from the corners of her eyes. There wasn't a trace of expression on her face. Her eyes only showed despair. Dario saw that she was no longer resisting. She'd become so quiet that it was terrifying. Anxiety grew in his heart. He stopped moving and looked at her closely. When he saw her appearance, it was as if something had stuck in his throat. Jade didn't want him to see her like that. She hurriedly covered her face with her hands and tried to hide her tears. After a long time, her hoarse and sobbing voice finally sounded from beneath Dario's body. Her normally clear and melodious voice now carried a trace of pleading. Dario, I beg you, don't treat me like this. I really don't want it. Please let me go. She neither wanted him nor wanted to hurt him. She just wanted him to stop. Dario looked at the tears coming from between her fingers and couldn't help but feel a stabbing pain in his heart. He went forward with heartache and stroked her hair. Jade seemed to have sensed him moving toward her again and kept hiding to the side. She was so resistant to him that he decided not to touch her. He only took a soft blanket and covered her body. At that time, the crisp sound of a text message interrupted the awkward atmosphere. Jade heard the sound and immediately put her hands down. She glanced at the bedside table in search of her phone. She wanted to get up and see who sent the text message. Dario grabbed her phone first. Jade saw that he was about to enter the password. Without any hesitation, he entered the numbers for Jade's birthday. Jade watched him and couldn't help but be stunned. How did he know the password to her phone? She didn't remember that she had told him the password. There was no way he could have guessed it. How did he know it? Dario didn't care that much about who had texted her, but he had noticed how abnormal Jade seemed that day, so he wanted to take a look at the message. When Dario saw it, his handsome and threatening face slowly became stiff. His pupils contracted, and a trace of killing intent and anger flashed in his eyes. "Mr. Foster, what are you doing? Give me back my phone." Jade was a little unhappy that he had guessed her password. She hadn't expected Dario to misunderstand what she said, but she was nervous that he had seen the contents of the text message. Dario smiled coldly. When he looked at Jade, who had been resisting him, he seemed to instantly understand something. He coldly threw the phone at her, and his attitude completely changed. The back of her phone was inlaid with diamonds. When it happened to hit Jade in the stomach, she instantly felt a sharp pain. She gritted her teeth and resisted the pain. She looked at him with hatred and said, "What are you doing?" She felt extremely wronged. How could he treat her that way? "Is that your reason for wanting to leave me?" A cold voice sounded in her ear. At that moment, his familiar voice sounded very terrifying, as if it came from hell. What reason? She was still wondering what he was talking about. Could it be that he already knew the reason? Wouldn't that be even better? If he knew, shouldn't he be the one feeling guilty? She curiously looked at her phone and was instantly dumbfounded. She had actually received a photo message, and the contents of the photo were very easily misunderstood. Jade's heart suddenly jumped. She looked carefully and thought that it must have been from the scene in the dressing room earlier that day. Bruce had come to cause trouble for her. He had even grabbed her by the neck and made her suffer. But the picture totally misrepresented what happened. From the angle of the picture, it looked like Bruce was hugging her and pressing on her body. His posture was very ambiguous. Only Bruce's back and half of Jade's face were visible. She couldn't make out what her hands were doing. It would be very easy to misunderstand. Who could have taken the picture? Perhaps it was an argument or a kiss, but Dario obviously thought of waiting. He must have thought that they were doing something intimate. "Looks like we are going to sleep in separate rooms." Dario stared at her. As he spoke, there was no emotion on his handsome face. His lack of reaction made him look extremely terrifying. Jade couldn't tell what would happen in the next second. Just as Jade was about to explain, Dario suddenly reached out his hand and took her phone away. Episode 179. I haven't slept all night. Jade looked at Dario in surprise, and her heart pounded in her chest. Did he want to take back the phone that he had given her? "Mr. Foster, this is not what you think," she panicked. She felt very confused and didn't know what was going on. She should have been blaming him, but now she was the one in the wrong. Jade was unable to react. She tried to organize her thoughts and wanted to explain properly, but Dario didn't give her a chance to explain. He had already walked out of the bedroom with a cold face. When he left, he even slammed the door shut. A loud sound was heard in the room, which made Jade's heart tremble. Listening to that sound and not knowing what was going on, Jade began to panic. She had no idea what she was thinking or what to do. It was a huge mess. But when she saw that picture, her first thought was that she really wanted to explain it to him. She wanted him to know that she hadn't been with anyone else at all. She ran out of the room as fast as she could and looked around. She found that he had already gone to the study room, but he had locked the door behind him so that she couldn't enter. She looked at the tightly shut door and felt a sharp pain in her heart. In the past, even when he was working inside, he had never locked the door. This was the first time he had done something like this. "Mr. Foster, can you open the door, please? Open the door. Let me in, okay? I can explain the picture. Nothing happened between me and him. When I was in that dressing room, he came in and started threatening and attacking me. Really, I'm telling the truth." How could she still be associated with such a scumbag? Someone must have set up a conspiracy against her. Amelia and Bruce must have set it up as a trap. But no matter what Jade said or how many times she knocked on the door, Dario wouldn't respond to her. Jade, who was close to despair, finally leaned against the door and powerlessly fell to the ground. The cold floor hurt her heart. She curled her body tightly together and hugged her knees. In an instant, she felt as if she'd been abandoned. She understood the feeling of being abandoned all too well. Was he going to leave her now, just like her parents did? Jade buried her head in her knees, and her tears flowed uncontrollably. In the study room. "Have you found out?" After the people outside the door stopped, Dario stood at the window and looked at the dark night sky. He coldly asked for his phone. "I've checked. The owner of the number is the daughter of the Stevens Group, Amelia. She's the older sister of Miss Winslet's ex-boyfriend." As soon as Lucas finished speaking, Dario hung up the phone. Bruce's older sister. There was a trace of indescribable emotion and gloominess in Dario's eyes. On the other end of the phone, Lucas was dumbfounded. Dario had woken him at 2 a.m. to check a number. He looked at the time and then went back to sleep. Jade didn't know how long she'd been sitting there when the door of the study opened. She leaned back when the door opened. Fortunately, Dario came forward to support her just in time and didn't let her fall. Jade looked up and said in a hoarse voice, "Thank you." She immediately stood up and broke free from his arm. Dario looked at her red and swollen eyes and the damp spots on the ground from her tears. He felt a stabbing pain in his heart. Jade deliberately took a step back and lowered her head. She wanted to hide her tears. She was barefooted. She stood awkwardly in front of him for a long time. "I don't know what you think of me," she said with difficulty. "In any case, I've never done anything to hurt you. No matter what you think, I won't bother you anymore. I don't want to leave because of Bruce. Even if I did have another man, I would never be with him." When Jade mentioned Bruce, there was hatred in her eyes. Bruce had lied to her for 5 years. He broke her heart. So why would she want to have anything to do with him again? She didn't wait for Dario to respond. She quickly ran back to the bedroom and rushed into the bathroom. She turned on the shower and let the warm water wash her entire body from head to toe. Her tears mixed with the water that was flowing down her body. She thought, why don't I just admit to what happened with Bruce? If he doesn't believe me, then so be it. Then I could leave him completely, and he would let me go. Jade closed her eyes in despair. She didn't know how long she'd been in the shower before she came out of the bathroom. When she came out, she found that Dario hadn't come back. He must still be in the study room. She didn't look for him again since he didn't want to sleep with her anyway. Jade didn't care anymore. She took a deep breath and sat on the floor by the bathroom door. She was afraid that she would remember what had happened when she was in bed with Dario. She was afraid to think about what had happened between them. "Jade, from now on, you have to slowly get used to this. You don't have his life, understand?" Jade stared at the waterbed that they had bought together and smiled bitterly. She didn't know how long she'd been sitting there. Dario didn't come back for a long time. After a while, she fell asleep with her back against the wall. When Dario came in after taking a bath, he saw Jade sleeping. He was so shocked that his heart jumped. Jade vaguely heard someone cursing in her ear, "Damn it, why don't you go to bed?" At that moment, Jade was curled up in a corner, and her eyes were still watery with tears. Dario's heart ached. Dario gently wiped away the tears on her face and carefully carried her to the bed. He was so warm that Jade, who was still sleeping, couldn't help but get closer to the person who was holding her. There was even a trace of a smile on her face. When he noticed that she took the initiative to embrace him, a trace of a smile appeared in Dario's eyes. He lowered his head and kissed her forehead. Then he hugged her and covered her with the blanket. He gently patted her back. Jade seemed to have noticed something. She moved her body so that the two of them were closer together. Jade then said something. "Mr. Foster, if only we had never met before." In the darkness, Dario heard her soft voice. He didn't know if she had woken up or if she was talking in her sleep. Dario reached out his hand and gently stroked her cheek. The smile in his eyes suddenly became deep. No one saw that the arrogant president, who seemed to have no emotions and no desires, actually had a pained expression on his face at that moment. "Are you really that unhappy with me?" Dario hugged the person in his arms and leaned back in the bed. In the moonlight, he stared intently at Jade, who was sleeping. He couldn't help but frown. He waited for the next day's sunlight to shine through the gaps in the curtains and onto the floor. Episode 180. People You Dream About. When Jade woke up the next day, she was surprised to find that she had slept on the bed. Her side was cold, but she sat up in the bed and stared blankly at Dario, who was sleeping beside her. Jade felt that something was blocking her heart. Did Dario come in the early hours of the morning? Did he carry her back to the bed? When she went into the kitchen, Jade found breakfast waiting for her. It was her favorite, porridge with a heart-shaped fried egg. When she looked at the steaming hot porridge, she felt extremely uncomfortable in her heart. Her mood was complicated. She sighed deeply and took a mouthful of porridge. But suddenly, tears formed in the corners of her eyes and started to flow uncontrollably. What should she do? Why did he treat her so well? If only he wasn't so good to her, she'd be able to leave without hesitation. She might be happy if only he was good to her alone. But he wasn't. Dario was also good to her idol, Miss Monica. Jade felt that she couldn't compare to someone like Miss Monica. She said to herself, Mr. Foster, you'd be better off with Miss Monica. The difference between us is too great. I'm not good enough. Jade looked at the bowl of porridge as she muttered to herself. She finished her breakfast and was about to go out when she received a text from Caroline. Her message was very timely. It was as if Caroline knew she hadn't slept well. Caroline said that the filming time had been moved to the afternoon and that she didn't need to come in the morning. Jade heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the sofa. She was just about to look at what happened with the text message from the day before, but she found that the text with the photo had disappeared. She hadn't even had time to look at who sent it before Dario snatched the phone away. He must have deleted it. Why did Amelia take that picture? What was she trying to do? Did Amelia want to make her angry? Did Amelia also send the text message? Outside the Stevens family villa, Amelia had just walked out of the door and was waiting for her assistant when an expensive Ferrari appeared in front of her. Hi, we're here. This is the Stevens family. Hey, why do you think Mr. Foster wants us to kidnap someone this time? David Swan asked curiously as he looked in the rearview mirror and tidied his hair. Lucas, who was driving the car, glanced at him and said, It's not a kidnapping, it's a treat. When he finished speaking, he quickly got out and blocked the view of the car with a cold face. You must be Miss Stevens. Our president wants to see you, Lucas said expressionlessly. Amelia was shocked by their sudden appearance. She said in a panic, Hey, who are you? You don't need to know who I am. You just need to come with me. You must be joking. Who do you think you are? If I tell you to leave, you will leave. Amelia looked at him with disdain, but was soon frightened by Lucas's cold eyes. She was silent. Hey, Lucas, can you do it? Why are you talking so much nonsense? David shouted after he rolled down the window. Amelia frowned when she saw David. David was a well-known young man in Washington. How could she not know him? But why was he here? Did he come to find her? And who was this president they were talking about? Why was he looking for her? Amelia didn't know what was going on, but judging from their looks, she thought that they didn't seem like kidnappers. Hey, beautiful, we don't have any bad intentions. It's just that our president wants to talk to you. He'll send you back soon. As David spoke, he winked at her. They could have just dragged her away, but their president had specifically instructed them to keep a low profile, which was why they were polite. All right, then I'll come with you. I'm curious to see who exactly this president is. Amelia arrogantly took out sunglasses from her bag and then made a phone call. When she was done, she slowly got into their car. Lucas quickly drove to the most expensive and luxurious club in Washington, the Royal Club. The people who went to the Royal Club were all rich and powerful. Most people couldn't afford to go. Even Amelia, with her rich parents, had only been there once with her father's friends. When Amelia realized where they were going, surprise flashed across her eyes. It seemed that the president they were talking about was no ordinary person. Did he especially send these men to pick her up because he wanted to chase after her? When Amelia thought of this, she became exceptionally excited. Her face turned red as she thought about it, but she regained her composure and pretended to be reserved. She wanted to see if the president was handsome or not. If he wasn't handsome, she didn't want him, even though he must be rich. Miss Stevens, this is the place. When you go in, just go to the 888 VIP room on the second floor, Lucas said calmly. Got it, Amelia said arrogantly. She was a little reserved as she walked forward happily. Her hips were twisting and turning as she walked. David sat in the car and laughed when Lucas came back. Hey, Lucas, did you see that just now? Look at that girl. She twisted her butt. What do you think our president wants with such a perverted fox? If Jade knew about this, what do you think would happen to her? David looked like he was watching a good show. Lucas glanced at him and said coldly, "I don't know." "Tsk, don't be cold like Dario. Look at you. How will you find a girlfriend?" Lucas looked at him with murderous eyes. David thought for a while and then followed Lucas in. After a waiter at the Royal Club directed Amelia to her destination, he gently pushed the door open for her and said respectfully, "Miss Stevens, this is the place. Please come in." "I know. Let's go." Amelia glanced at the waiter. After speaking, she slowly walked in. Although she had seen many beautiful places, the room was so luxurious that it shocked her. It was far beyond the room she had come to the last time. It was much nobler. But soon, she saw someone even nobler than the room she was in. He was sitting upright on the sofa with deep black eyes and an extraordinarily handsome face. Every single one of his movements revealed the domineering aura of a king, making it difficult for others to resist his wild charm. Amelia was dumbfounded when she saw him. She said to herself, "Oh my God, I can't believe there's such a beautiful person in this world, but he somehow seems familiar." Amelia took a closer look, and her eyes filled with surprise. After seeing the man's face clearly, she almost suffocated. Wasn't he the Prince Charming that she thought of day and night? The man that called her over was actually Jade's husband.